Hello and welcome to the Tinkerbell community meeting for July 20th, 2021. My name is Marky Jackson. I will be your hostess with the mostest, who's probably lacking some of that mostest stuff, but bear with me. I'd like to welcome everybody. I would also like to say that we do have we do have a code of conduct, which essentially amounts to be awesome to one another. I do not see. Give me a second. I do not see. Anchor, have you been to one of these meetings before? And I just called you out, and I
Yeah,
apologize.
this is my second meeting.
Okay. So you're new, well, very new, and I thank you for coming. So welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Uh, Basically, how we do this is we run through the topics, we talk about any things we have on the agenda. And today, I am going to start off by handing it over to the greatest, the most awesomest, Jacob Weinstock, who is going to talk about Triage Party. Take it away, Jacob.
Yeah, so we started, what has it been now? 4 weeks ago, we did a single triage party, and then I was supposed to schedule a reoccurring off meeting, and I did not. So I apologize, but next Tuesday, a week from today, this same time, we will be doing triage party again, and I will be sending out a recurring calendar invite for every other Tuesday to do that. So put that on your calendars if you're interested. You can come with zero experience or knowledge. You can come and watch. You can come and participate. It's a pretty fun time. So next Tuesday, this same time.
Awesome.
Oh, sorry, Marky. There's a show and tell section. Can I show and tell something real quick?
Well, I guess, but can you make the checks payable to Marky Jackson? I'll DM you my address. No, please, definitely take it away, Jacob.
I'm just kind of excited because I got a Raspberry Pi compute board, and I've been trying to get Tinkerbell working on it.
That's sharp.
And if anybody
is that a PCIe slot on there?
Yes, it is.
Ooh.
There's a lot of fun things on this board. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, send me the details on that.
Yeah, Jacob, can you post in the Tinkerbell channel? Can you post like what the specs are and if anybody wanted to purchase one of those? Because now I you and I have been having conversations about this, and I have been wanting to get the compute board, and I'd love to be able to hack with you. So,
yes, I will. I would love for lots of people to have this board.
That just means that I'll need to get another keyboard and another camera, but I think I've got some space somewhere here on my desk.
Nice. So the nice thing about this board is it comes PoE compatible right out the box. So you don't need an extra power cable. Just nice. Keyboard and mouse and whatnot. But yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely share those specs or where people can order those. And I would love to see more people participating in that. That would be awesome. I know I will.
Yeah. Plus, so I bring it up mostly because this is a selfish desire. I'm having trouble pixie booting this little guy. So if anybody gets one or has one, or I guess it should be similar to just a generic Raspberry Pi 4. I'll post this in the Tinkerbell channel, and we'll chat about it.
See if I'll share some. I have some pixie booting that I used for my Raspberry Pis.
Awesome.
So we'll see if we can somehow collaborate on that.
Cool.
Anything else, Jacob?
No, that was it. Thanks.
Awesome. And ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I will introduce Nahom, who's going to talk about the Tinkerbell Hub number 59. Take it away, Nahom.
Yeah. So that's the so I a while back I built a small Docker image as an action out of the Kimu image binary and a small snippet of Go code to mimic what partprobe does to reread partition tables, so that we can stream disk images straight from various vendors. Like the easiest example, pardon the pun, the canonical example being the Ubuntu 2004 cloud image, and you can stream it over HTTPS across the entire internet if you want to, or you can cache a copy locally, and you can stream it straight to a disk. And I've been doing experiments with it, and it's pretty nice. I was unclear on some of the details around making it an official one, whether we want to or not, and if so, like some of the naming that this thing needs. Unfortunately, I think that the people who would answer that question are not on the call today. So I may resort to like Slack or mailing list, or maybe people will see it and put more feedback on the PR. But yeah, if others are interested in this, the code is up there. You can play with it, rebuild it yourself and play with it. It's currently only, as far as I know, x86. I haven't tried to make it work for ARM. I don't know how easy or hard that would be. The build process to statically compile QEMU image is a little bit finicky. It didn't work when I tried to upgrade to a newer Alpine base image. So any ideas around that are also welcome if people are, Jacob, if you're hacking on it and you want to use it for your Raspberry Pis and trying to jam ARM images onto your machines. Yeah, so yeah, that was that.
Yeah, I'll actually take a look at this because I have done some QEMU work with the ARMS, and we had somebody from the community that actually opened up an issue because I needed to update it badly, and so I just recently updated it a week ago, so I may be able to port some of that work into this for ARMS, and actually Raspberry Pi, like you can actually use that, which is pretty cool. So I'll take a look at this, and anybody else, definitely please please have fun and play. Awesome. Did you have anything else, Nahum?
No, that was it.
Sweet, sweet, sweet. We did have a question that came into the Tinkerbell community Slack. It says, wonder if any progress has been made on proposal 16, the default workflows. I will jump over here and see if I can get to that. Oh, no, wrong one. And this is the default workflows. It does not look like there has been any work. What we will do is, I know Dan has been working on this, so I will reach out to Dan. I know they are doing some sort of offsite meeting right now, and that's why they could not be here. But I will reach out and get some more and update in the community Slack. For William, I believe, brought this up. So thank you very much, William. I will move on to the next item, which is me. So there is proposal number 12, which is the event-driven design for Tinkerbell. This was something that was put forth by Gaurav many months ago, and I've decided that I wanted to re-erect this because I think it would be something that would be really good for Tinkerbell. And I wanted to, the reason I put it on the agenda is because I wanted to see if anybody wanted to pair on this. I think it would be a good opportunity for some that don't understand sort of the architecture or the code of Tinkerbell to sort of learn about that, because that's going to be a lot of work in there. And I just wanted to put that out there. If anybody would like, please let me know, and we can do that. Does anybody have any questions, comments? Going once, going twice. Sold.
Yeah, I think it's an awesome idea. I think the first go around implementation, I don't know if it fully captured what the proposal is trying to get. So I'm excited for another implementation to come around and see if it can't fully capture what that proposal was trying to do.
Yeah, and just some back history on this to give people more context is there was an event system that previously did exist in Tinkerbell, but that was removed due to some restrictions that they needed to sort of work around. And I feel that putting a real like robust event system back within the code base would do us a lot of good, especially in the sense of plugins and a framework for which people can plug into Tinkerbell. So that's why I think it's needed and worthy.
Just glancing over this, it might overlap a little bit with the telemetry work, because it looks, I see a couple of things that look like people want observability versus event-driven workflows. So
Right.
These are kind of two different topics that have a lot of overlap.
Yeah. So that means you and I get to pair, Amy? Really? Tell me we can?
Sure,
Tell me?
Sure. Could be.
No muting me, host. So cool. Thank you. Amy, I will reach out to you and do some stuff on that. And that comes back to, God, this guy Jacob's always putting things on this list. What's up with that? No, that brings back Jacob. So Jacob, please tell us about updating the sandbox and what we may need there.
So I put out a pull request to update the sandbox. I don't know if anybody else felt this way, but I felt like the sandbox needed an upgrade, and not and I don't know if I removed. So my PR puts everything into Docker Compose, and so a lot of these kind of wrapper scripts that we have now to set up networking and to create firewall rules and do things of that nature, I was having a difficult time working with those. So I put this out to put everything into Docker Compose, which allows it to do a couple interesting things. It makes it more portable. So you can stand up machines via Vagrant, for example. That's one of the main ones we're using. And then you can just Docker Compose up. You can just bring your own machine up and you can Docker Compose up and the whole stack will come up as well. For me, it just helped a lot in terms of understanding how the pieces fit together. And so I put the proposal out there. It's a significant change if you look at it. I'd love to get some eyes on it. And then the second thing for help is there's some, can you click on that link where it says rendered quick start guide? Oh, thanks, Marty. I could use some help.
Code, Jacob.
Oh, thanks. I could use some help. I only implemented Vagrant and VirtualBox Docker Compose. If anybody would be interested in contributing any of like the libvirt stuff or the Terraform or the Kubernetes, I think I would be greatly appreciated, because it's lacking that now. I don't know if this will get merged just because technically it's a regression if we don't have libvirt and Terraform in there at the moment. So
I can definitely help with the Kubernetes stuff. I've done some work with Kubernetes dev environments with the help of the awesome Jason Tabiris. So
awesome.
Definitely we could do something there.
Yeah, and I tried to use it on a bare metal machine that was turned up by the Terraform code, and I ran into trouble. And actually, I was hoping to pair with you on that yesterday, but some other time, definitely, if you have time, I would love to get that working on bare metal. Yeah.
What I would just ask, if I could make one small, I'm going to make it a host suggestion. If you're working on these things, if you could just make sure you document, like throw something in the comment or something, just so people can see it. Sometimes that can get people pretty interested if they see active work happening. But just make sure to comment in this PR or something. That would be super awesome. Or even start a discussion.
Last thing I'll do real quick, if you don't mind, could you click on that first one there, Marky, Vagrant and VirtualBox? One of the proposals I'll throw out is that if you think about Tinkerbell.org and like the getting started with Vagrant and how many steps and all the things you had to walk through, I propose we can, if this gets merged in, we could change that out for this. If you scroll down, there's 6 steps and that's it. I would love for this to be the starting point for anybody new that comes in, to be able to come in and say, hey, I can provision a machine in 6 steps instead of, now one thing I will note is that I think the current way is also beneficial because it helps people walk into a little bit deeper into the code, but I would love an even higher approach that you could just run some of these commands and get up and running, have a machine, provision. This 6 steps will provision a machine for you, and you could even iterate off of that if all you care about was workflows, right? If you cared about diving into the code, maybe that other process might be a little bit better because it gets you into the weeds a little bit more. But this, I think, could be really beneficial to community members just getting started.
From a docs perspective, we could do Tinkerbell the easy way and Tinkerbell the hard way.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I like that. You're bringing it to a little more accessible as the default. And the advanced stuff is always going to be there. There's always going to be like, here's how I did this one weird thing. So I really like that.
Yeah, awesome work, Jacob. Really, really awesome. So if you're interested in that and you're watching this later, definitely try it out and give us some feedback. And the last thing we have on our list, I'm going to bring it over to Amy. Amy, take it away.
Hey, so I'm working on this little project. inside of Metal, but also outside, going around and adding OpenTelemetry to all of our services. And so on my list has been for a long time Tinkerbell, to throw together some PRs for adding to pretty much all the, especially the Go components, all the really traceable stuff. OpenTelemetry distributed tracing. OpenTelemetry is a CNCF project that just went into, is it from incubator to, it's whatever the second step is before it's like a full top level.
Sandboxed incubation?
Yes, sandbox.
Yes, that happened like last week. So the idea is what's really cool about OpenTelemetry is we can lay this into all of this code. It's all Apache licensed, OpenTelemetry itself is, and it can emit telemetry events to pretty much all of the major telemetry systems on the market today, from open source things like Jaeger and Zipkin to SaaS tools like Amazon's internal tracing tools, Google Stackdriver, Honeycomb, Lightstep, Datadog. So kind of the big upside here is with Tinkerbell being a distributed system with multiple components that often run on different machines or in different containers, this lets the operator stitch back together what happened in the real world by getting these tracing events out of the Tinkerbell components, stream them into their telemetry platform, which often will show something like a timeline of everything that happened and all the network hops and all the things that are interesting. So the goal over time is to not only add this to the Go code and the daemons and stuff, but I also wrote OTel CLI, which will let us start to put it into the shell scripts and things and stuff like OSIE. So what I'm working on right now is putting together a few PRs just to get the ball rolling. I think I submitted one for Tink itself, so Tink/Tink. That one has one thing I'm trying to work out with the Lightstep folks, which is they wrote a launcher that takes a lot of the boilerplate code for starting up OpenTelemetry and brings it down to a few lines of code. And I didn't want to copy that into each of the projects. So I modified theirs so it would work with any OpenTelemetry vendor in the short term, so I could start showing what these PRs look like. So the ones you'll see are using a branch on my GitHub of OTel Launcher Go. It's not the ideal situation, but it does let us kind of start to show where the code goes, where it's going to land, and kind of our opportunities for adding tracing.
This is a really exciting field. It is, I think, amazing, and I'm really excited to see what comes of this because it'll give us a lot of visibility, especially when we think of some of the other things like the event-driven system design. I think now I know what you mean by it's sort of overlapping, and I think that's what a lot of people want to know is how does Tinkerbell or Tink in this particular instance, how, it's not visible, and people find that super frustrating. So this is a very, very needed and welcomed thing. So thank you very much, Amy. Does anybody have any questions for Amy?
Question. This is, I don't know how, this probably isn't a good idea, but would you ever replace open tracing with like event-based systems and just like use those events to trigger other services and whatnot? Or is that just generally a bad idea?
I would buddy them up because there are two different approaches to event-driven systems, right? So OpenTelemetry throughout the project, throughout all of their OTEPs and things, is really highly focused on not screwing up your software, right? So OTel will prefer to dump messages and drop things as opposed rather than impact your production workload. Now, it doesn't always work out that way, but mostly it's got a pretty good track record already of being harmless to your code if it goes sideways. And if you're doing an event-driven, machine provisioning system, you want those events to be delivered at least once, usually. And you don't want it to drop messages when things get hard, which is what OpenTelemetry will do. Okay. It doesn't always drop messages when things get hard, but like that's generally the space, the headspace I think a lot of the OTel developers are in, is supposed to where on the other side, we want for sure to deliver this message, even if we deliver it more than once. And it's kind of a different data model or data critical system.
Got it. That makes sense.
And I will,
but you would find that the trace points are also where you would want to add those highly reliable events, right? So you would as you start to look at the telemetry stuff, it'll be really clear where you need to go and add taps to emit events in just whatever message queue or whatever you guys decide to use.
Can open telemetry be pushed to generic event systems like NATS or Kafka or things of that nature?
Yeah, a lot of the, I think there's an article out there, Slack. All of their telemetry events go to an open telemetry collector, which is another open source project that's written in Go that can accept any of those protocols it supports, Jaeger, Zipkin, and OTLP, which is the new protocol that's part of OpenTelemetry. And then that can forward to as many backends as you want. And so what they do is they forward some of it out to Honeycomb and they forward some of it into a Kafka queue, and then they crunch it up in like some graph processing thing in the backend. So
Awesome.
you can do that, yeah.
Right on. I bring that up because for the open source side, it'd be kind of fun maybe to see something where you didn't have to have like an subscription to some existing tool. You could just stream it to one of these things we stand up locally in our sandbox, and then you could watch events and whatnot come through, which would be cool.
Yeah, when I'm developing, I just run the collector, and it does you can have it set it up to do a text dump of the traces as they go through, and that is useful on its own, although it's kind of spammy. The other thing is I have a repo on my personal GitHub and need to pick this back up and carry it a little further is you can run Grafana's, not Loki, the other one. Grafana has a OTLP tracing thing built into Grafana now, open source, well, under their new open source thing. So think what you will of that. But you can run that locally and you can stream all the events into that and you get visualization on your own laptop if you want. And so there's a couple other options. There's like running a local Jaeger that works too. You got to know the trace IDs, but it's still useful, but like that's part of why I like it just being open to all the vendors. It's like you can start with these simple tools that are free, cheap, and easy. And then if you were like, hey, I want to get a free Honeycomb account, which is a thing you can totally do, you can stream them there and then you get the nice visualizations.
Perfect. Grafana Tempo, is that the one you were thinking?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
And
awesome.
in the show notes, I'll drop links to all of these things that were discussed in case anybody wants to follow up and read a little bit more about these. And Amy is also available in the community Slack if you want to pair or have questions or things like that.
Yeah. You have to at me. I have like this Slack blindness. Like I'm usually in my work Slack all day, and I forget about all the other ones even exist unless somebody ats me.
And Amy is a very approachable person, so please, if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And that's not me volunteering you. I just know that I've always reached out. You've been very, very helpful. So thank you for that. That brings us to the end of the show. I see no more open items. Does anybody have anything that did not make the list? I don't see any questions in chat. Well, folks, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Wait. We do have a hand that just raised.
Yeah, sorry. Just a quick question. I was poking through the proposals and I looked at the proposal 19 about PB and J next. And I just, at the bottom of it, it says that there's like a work in progress branch, but I just didn't see it. I just wondered if there was anything I could like track down or anyone knew anything about that.
I know a little bit. Oh, look at that. So that proposal needs updated. That work has actually been completed and it is the master branch already.
Okay. That's okay. I gotcha. Great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Cool. I do not see any other hands. No more questions. I don't see anything on the dock. I will ask again. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about? Show and tell?
I remembered one thing I wanted to ask you all about. I mentioned that the hotel launcher, and that discussion started with, is there a common place in the Tinkerbell repos to put code that would be shared across most of the components? And if so, I can drop some launcher code in there that would be shared across those repos. But I don't want to and we would add net less dependencies to everything if we did it that way. So that's one option that's interesting to me to move all this forward, is to start with that PR, get that landed, and then we can start landing PRs in the other repos to add telemetry. So is there?
Yeah, I think that would be a
that?
good idea. I think that's actually a good idea. We would just need to create the other repo, and I think I could help you with that. Or if not, one of the other maintainers of the project could definitely help you get that repo created, and we can go with that.
I mean, if that's
I think it's a good idea. So but if anybody else wants to chime in, please do.
How much code are we talking here?
I mean, the launcher itself is 20 or 30 lines of code plus, some simple tests. So like the light step one is a couple hundred lines of code. It does a little more. It integrates metrics, hotel metrics, which today they're not in scope because you already have Prometheus metrics, and that's a whole different discussion if we're going to like forklift replace a metric system. So again, it comes down to a couple dozen lines of code that just be shared across all these repos.
A couple thousand lines of code?
No, a couple dozen.
Oh, okay.
Did I say 1,000?
Wait, we went from 30 to 1,000. I'm so confused.
Sorry. That would have made my heart jump if it had been me on the other side.
Awesome. Well, if nobody has anything else, oh wait, somebody was going to say something. I heard
Sorry,
it.
I apologize, but I do have a little bit of hesitation inside me to create a new repo for that kind of code, because honestly, and maybe I'm wrong here, but Tink server and Boots, other than that, I mean, there are other projects, right, that are in the Tinkerbell ecosystem, but those are the two main ones that really do anything and that are talking back and forth, right, that you would probably want to see a flow. We have metadata. I could see maybe metadata having it, but it's not necessarily tied into the full flow. PB&J, it's in the project. It doesn't have a place even in the sandbox at the moment. So there's only like 2 repos. Do we really want an entire new project to share that 20 lines? And I bring it up as more of a discussion. I'm not necessarily trying to shoot it down or anything like that.
No, that's great context. I kind of looked at all the projects. I have a list of like 4 or 5 I want to touch on based on my kind of coming from inside of Metal view of things, because I also have touched kind of the legacy services. Like PB&J is on my list. To me, it's not relevant whether it's in Sandbox or not. Like, it's basically like if we're going to run this stuff as part of a system, I want telemetry in it. So, but like, fair. If that makes sense, maybe I just add it to the. I think there's a generic package in Tink. I could throw it in there.
I believe there is.
Because there's already a relationship there where things are including the proto from Tink. So the repo is already kind of being sucked down regularly. Does that make more sense, Jacob? Like, yeah, I just separate it to a package. It would be pretty tiny.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I apologize. I'm thinking, I'm brainstorming and processing at the same time, but I think
door number 3 is I can break out the launcher code that's in Hotel CLI. So that's basically just like its own little package. It's basically one file. I already intend to lace that into OSIE and stuff. So it would be a pretty small inclusion that way. And that's a tiny little project. So I don't know if that's another option that's interesting.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm just, so I don't know if it's been said, but I'll say it here. One of the challenges I think that we have is that in Tinkerbell in general, we have a distributed monolith. And so we've got all these services that are talking back and forth that rely on each other, and we don't have clean lines. Maybe a package in and of itself just to do this actually might be a better idea.
Okay.
Because it breaks apart a little bit more. It creates cleaner lines in terms of not having a distributed monolith. Because I definitely not a fan of everybody calling into Tink to pull down dependencies. And I know you have to do it for protobufs. I get it, but I don't know. I just have feelings that I don't know how to describe sometimes.
I think this is actually a really good discussion. What I do think this would be advantageous to do is to have this in maybe a GitHub discussion. And that way we're tracking it. Well, we have it on a recording here, but tracking it via the discussion may be a good thing. But that's just a suggestion. You don't need to take that. you don't
Yeah,
mind.
we don't have to decide right now because I want to get a couple of these PRs shaped up so y'all can take a look and do the thumbs up, thumbs down. And the launcher is pretty easy to swap out at any point in this process, so we don't have to make it right now, but probably before we land the PRs.
Okay,
Awesome.
fair.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, Amy. Thank you very much for your question, Jacob. Does anybody else have anything? All righty. Well, with that, I will thank everybody for joining. I wish you a good day, a good rest of the week, and go and be fruitful. Cheers, everyone.
See y'all.